Welcome back to another episode of Excuse My Grandma. It's Kim, my co-host.
Grandma Gail.
So we just were going shopping. We interrupted our shopping spree to come record. Good day in the life of Kim and Gail.
Yeah, it was a good day, and the outfits that some of the people down in Soho were wearing were so off the chart. I don't know where they go. It almost looks like a pre-Halloween masquerade day down there. And then we came back up to the Upper East Side, and everybody looked so boring that I sort of got to feel that I really sorry I didn't look closer to the ones downtown, because they were certainly much more fun. So
it's good to have a mix of classic and
correct
modern, like this podcast.
Yeah, well, this podcast is definitely a mix. That's for sure. We're getting two very different opinions. So what depressed me the other day was, Kim, I must say, I went into a very, very high-priced store on Madison Avenue, and I looked at the clothes, and I was expecting to see something really glamorous and pretty, and what they had were cashmere sweatpants and cashmere sweaters to go with the cashmere sweatpants. I said to the sales lady, I got to get out of the sweat
people
clothes.
Live in that, but
I know, but
you can't wear that really out for dinner, obviously.
Well, I think you can if you're sitting outside and it's cold.
Maybe.
I mean, that's the problem. You put on a pretty scarf.
But not to like a bar. Like if I was going to a bar.
No. Well, not
like,
in a dating scene. You wouldn't wear this.
Right.
I mean, but I would wear that if I lived, if I was going out with Poppy up here, because it's just
cozy, nice.
Just cozy, pretty, a little, a little chicer than a sweatpant.
I hope we didn't lose every boy with this intro. Hi guys. Thanks for sticking with us.
Okay, let's not talk about fashion now. Except that we have to talk about fashion because we're going to interview somebody who's in that field.
Yes, her name is Brooke Hil. Influencer is a buzzword now that really has a negative connotation. Nobody wants another influencer telling them, "Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is what you should buy." Everyone is sick of that. They want real people to like entertain them. So I think we're and Brooke was very aware of that, and her personal brand is great, so she kind of talked us through her mindset with a lot of those decisions, and
I think everyone's going to really enjoy her. She's delightful.
We are joined by Brooke Hil. We love her Instagram, so we're so excited for this conversation. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. This is my first ever podcast.
Oh,
really?
That's so exciting.
You can join the club. I never heard a podcast before I'm doing this.
And so for our listeners who don't know, you're an influencer really by every sense of the word. You show people the way you live, from lifestyle to home to beauty to fashion to travel. First of all, do you like the term influencer? I know some people, do you prefer content creator, blogger? Like, do you go by one or the other?
Does Grandma Gail know what an influencer is?
I do now. I did not know it 8 months ago, but I definitely know now. I know so many things that I didn't know. I know about swiping and about all these other DMing or whatever. So I do know what an influencer is. And I've seen.
Well, now there's grandfluencers, which are like grandma influencers. I guess that could be you.
It could be me. I doubt it, but it could be me. I mean, you tell me I'm influencing people on TikTok. I can't even believe it.
This is amazing. What was the question?
You could lose it with us. Trust me.
Just if you like the term influencer, and if that's like how you would describe yourself. I know you have like a whole vast experience in media. If you want to talk about your journey to how you created your blog also.
Oh God. So I always joke that I think the term influencer, you might as well use the term hooker. I mean, it's that bad. OnlyFans.
Really?
In that realm of just horrible. And socially speaking, like nobody likes really to hear that you're an influencer.
Sure.
I don't think it has a great kind of like connotation. And for me, it happened, after I got a law degree and worked as a reporter and a producer in New York. So it really was like, oh my God, look at the shift between like what I say to dinner publicly versus like, meaning a year ago versus what I say now. But the fact of the matter is I perceive this space as being kind of like the Wild West, and there's a huge opportunity to create a personal brand and to monetize it in a way that, just candidly, I wouldn't be doing, financially speaking, what I'm doing right now, even if I were a partner at a white collar law firm.
I don't think your parents are that happy. What happened to all the money they spent for law school?
I don't think they think I work. I don't know what they think.
Well, clearly you do, and you have a huge following.
It is an enormous amount of work, and I, to be totally just transparent about it, I fully understand why it has like such a negative rap. I mean, of course I do. It's not like lost upon me, but I think the opportunity that exists is actually second to none. And I think if somebody did something just maybe slightly smarter or different in the space, it would have a totally different kind of rep, So I'm looking to grow and expand in different ways. And that's what keeps me fulfilled when it comes to quote unquote influencing.
Totally. How do you know as an influencer or a content creator when I guess you could consider yourself like successful, or because the market is a little bit saturated right now. Everyone kind of wants to do it. Let's say you're putting your stuff out there. At what marker would you say? Is it a certain amount of followers? Is it a certain amount of like community engagement?
I mean, I guess technically speaking, it would depend on how you look at it. For me, when I started my Instagram, I wasn't trying to monetize it. I definitely wasn't trying to become an influencer. But I would leave every morning for work on the west side across town. And I just would have whoever was like passing me by, or the doorman at the time, or, if I was getting in a taxi, the cab driver, like take a shot of my outfit. And that's how I accumulated a following of women who were also sort of like in their 20s at the time, let's say, and kind of interested in like whatever I was doing as a journalist, or I was dating at the time, or how I would piece together an outfit for a certain amount of money. And so that's kind of like how I accrued a following. And I've always utilized that as kind of like my line of demarcation. I have a really organic following. So even during the time of the algorithm being wonky on Instagram and stuff, for me, it's like, but my engagement is still pretty good because these are women who have been tapped into my life or my social media and I for probably like 5-6 years now. And that I'm grateful for. And I think is a blessing. That's rewarding, because it is for women like us.
Totally. I love that you had the doorman take the picture of you. Like that's real dedication.
Totally. I mean, it wasn't, that's the thing. It wasn't even dedication. It was just sort of like an off the cuff, very simple thing to do.
Organic.
It was organic. Before that was like a buzzword even. So I think it just like took off in a way because I wasn't thinking about it too much, which is something I'm very guilty of doing. I overthink everything in life, specifically my work. And so I kind of miss those days in a lot of ways. And sometimes I think about reverting to that, even like having something else separately and just kind of documenting it in the way that I used to do. I think there's still something really to be said for that.
So do you get designers to give you things that they think you might be your look, or do you go out after these unknown young designers that have no format and you yourself develop their style along with yours? I mean, how does it really work? That
partnerships and collaborations.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not somebody who does like when people do unboxings and stuff, personally.
Never actually described that to my grandma before. Do you mind just explaining to her?
Well, I think we need to tell our public, because a lot of the people who listen to us are over 65, so they have no idea what unboxing is except opening up a Saks box.
It kind of is that.
Essentially what it is.
Oh, all right, then I know that.
No, I mean, if you get a box or something from, typically, I mean, for me at least, it would be from like a PR company. And what a lot of influencers do is sort of like unbox, because you'll get something at your front door. It's like a package of goodies, and then you'll unbox on camera and you'll say what designer or what brand sent you X, Y, and Z within the box.
Right.
I don't really do that. I mean, I don't really collaborate. I buy a lot of my own stuff. During fashion week and whatnot, I sometimes will collaborate just because I can't afford to buy a new outfit every day.
Right.
But I like for a lot of the things to be my own. I've done unboxings before on Instagram, on stories and stuff, but I don't do it nearly to the extent that pretty much every other influencer does. It's like, if I like something, I'll buy it. If I can't buy it, I don't. But I'm not somebody that's like funneling things in and out via all these PR companies. I just don't.
Okay. So you tell a story through your own perhaps hat or pocket
personal
purse
style,
or whatever your personal thing is in your own closet.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bill Cunningham was saying that about Fashion Week and kind of like why New York Fashion Week has lost its luster. And he's like, it's a bunch of people wearing clothes with tags on that they can't afford,
Right.
or whatever it is. You know what I mean? But because
Right.
you do go crazy, not that it's like really a monetary thing per se, but you do go crazy and want to like have a new look every day. And so there's a temptation to borrow. And but you know, I either save up or I don't showcase it really.
How do you think your personal style has evolved since you grew up really until now?
I think Grandma Gail will like this, but I really try and take a timeless approach to personal style. I really do. So if you were to look at my wardrobe, it is sort of very like Upper East Side grandma.
And it's still good. Style. And it's still good.
It's great. I mean,
the old little black dress. Here we go again. The black little dress and the little cute bag is still the right way to go.
Yeah, I mean, even like for a date or something with my husband, I take an approach of like accidentally sexy. So there's nothing that's super trendy or super out there for a specific occasion. It's very kind of like pared down and timeless. At least that's what I try to go for. So much so that I hope in 30 years, I could easily want to have the exact same items, truly.
Yeah, I like that too. I feel like I always try to go for pieces that I'll wear once or maybe never put on. And then you're like, this is not your, like, this isn't what looks good on you.
Not your look. It's not your look. You need to be classic. You need to be classic.
Well, see, now I'm dressing like her too.
Well, now we're really getting scary. I mean, this is the sad thing that we're picking at each other's clothes now. This is very bad.
And you could share a closet.
Well, we can share shoes because we're the same.
Yeah, we share bags.
Yeah,
we like the same.
Do we?
Yeah, we do.
Maybe.
Yeah, we like the same.
Well, maybe I steal your bags. I don't know if you stole my bags.
I'm not stealing yours, but you're stealing mine, definitely. I'm just giving them.
Yeah.
That's the best of both worlds, I think.
Exactly.
Brooke, do you have any advice or tips for how to take like the perfect Instagram photo? I know now that kind of looks different than maybe it would have been like a while ago. Now I feel like people are doing like photo dumps and trying to be a little bit more natural with their pictures, but what advice would you give?
Trying to be natural.
Right.
No, you're absolutely right. I'm big on light. That's something that I've learned sort of the hard way, where a lot of times if you want to capture a certain backdrop, typically that means that you're going to be backlit, which just for me is never flattering. And I think for many people just isn't the most flattering. So I've kind of learned to stare at the sun. I just like to be very, very well lit. For me, if I don't have the right light, I almost don't even shoot nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like it is harder than people think to get a good picture. I actually we don't take pictures that often. Well, we tried one day for our Instagram because when we first started the podcast, I was like, we need to have some pictures together for our Instagram.
Chevy dressing up in 45
we literally bought a duffel bag of outfits. I felt like, I feel like I'm sure you do this sometimes if you have like shoots and things, like you bring different options, and we were sitting around and we were like,
you're dragging a 78-year-old woman around the place, changing in different locations.
It was so silly.
Hiding behind columns, and I was changing my shirt. I said, Kimberly, this is so ridiculous, but it was fun. I have learned a lot from you. I'm absolutely enamored by your youth.
Oh,
and I think, and you are terrific, Brooke. I think the whole, what has become terrific is that older people can now really listen to you and hear what you're saying and somewhat try to understand it. And I think you do make it understandable. And I think it's great. It keeps everybody in a circle of life. And it's very important.
This is getting deep now.
Oh, it is deep.
Nice way to look at it. Thank you.
So we like to ask all of our guests about their relationship that they had with their grandma. Were you close with your grandmother or
grandfather? Either
grandfather?
One. Let's not be sexist.
Yeah, both. My grandfather kind of was, I grew up a lot in their house, actually, both of my grandparents, but my grandfather just passed away last summer.
Yeah,
so, oh, no, thanks. So, I mean, he was 93 and he had a very long life and drank every day, I think.
Had a good time.
So he's okay. Yeah. My grandmother passed away about 7 years ago, but I was very close with her, especially growing up, you know, because like I said, I grew up in their house. So both of them really in different ways, though.
Yeah. Did they ever give you any relationship advice?
My grandfather, I think, just blocked it out altogether that I may ever, you know, even be interested in a guy.
Right.
My grandmother, though, I used to hear her say two things. Be with somebody who's self-made. You know, that was very important to her. Don't be with like a trust fund, whomever. She was very into like make your own way, and whatever that looks like, it looks like. And just don't tolerate anything teetering on the brink of what would be categorized as like unhealthy today. So
bad behavior.
Red flag, just get out of there.
Right.
You know? And so those were the two things, if any, that she mentioned.
Yeah.
Good advice.
I mean, dating now is obviously completely different than it was when my grandma was younger, or even when our parents were younger. Is there anything that you feel like we've lost today that you would wish we kind of had, like either whether it's courtship or chivalry or things like that?
All of the above.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, definitely the courting phase. I do think I take maybe slightly more of a conventional approach to dating than when I talk to girlfriends or things like that. I like to be courted. I like sort of like traditional roles in that sense. And I like to take things kind of slowly. I do wish there was a little bit more of an emphasis nowadays on like an actual relationship as opposed to just the swiping and the hookup culture.
Right.
But that's just me. I mean, there's no specific reason for that. I think it's nice, and it's just the way I like to move. You know,
I think it's more people than you know feel the same way. I really do believe that. I think it's just pressure today from so many different circles that cause especially women to feel that they have to do these hookups.
Well, we did an episode on this where we read like a psychiatry article. I forgot what it was now, but it was pretty much the message of like, especially with college students, you either buy in or you're not like dating at all, because it's very hard to like, you know, be in the world now and not play the game.
Right. It's very difficult growing up today.
Yeah. I mean, and my grandfather would say that too, even towards the end of his life. He would just talk about, he wasn't one to do that, but the differences, you know, and I do think it's a lot harder. And I think, you know, maybe not more so for women than for men, but I can only speak as a woman. And I do think it's very difficult. And I see what girlfriends go through, and it's not a walk in the park.
No.
We want to play a game with you. Grandma Gail's green and red flag quiz. So
which Kimmy springs on me every week.
They're a surprise to both of you. So we will go through these, and you two can tell me if you think it's a red flag or if it's okay. Okay. When the guy is on multiple dating apps.
Red flag for me.
Brooke.
And I'm not even dating, and it would be a red flag.
I think technically if you're on one dating app, I mean, it means you're on all of them, right?
Oh, is that true?
I agree. I mean, I was always on multiple dating apps. I think if you're on one, why would it be a bad sign to be on all of them?
I don't know why
you're either on them
or
you're not. Like,
okay.
Right. If you're on them, you already have exposure to like presumably more than one woman. So I think it's okay if you're on them.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. He breaks plans once. So let's say on the first date, he's like, couldn't get there because of work. But then after that, he's pretty timely with dates. Like, do you still remember the first time, or do you give him a pass?
I don't know. Brooke, you answer that. I don't know. I would have, if he broke the first date, I would never give him a second date. But
that's not true. You made me give one person like 7 chances.
Oh, no, that because it wasn't a good date. I said, give him a chance.
No.
Because he broke a date?
Yep. I remember that.
I can't. I blocked it out of my mind. I'm sorry. If I did that, slap my hand. That was very bad. You should have dropped him immediately.
I think generally it's a red flag. It's not great. Like there's nothing great about it. Now there are medical emergencies and things, so I'm not going to unilaterally dictate. But
exactly, there are only so many times somebody could die.
Grandfather died 7 times this week.
Exactly.
I mean, I think generally speaking, it's a red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If he's aggressive on text messaging before you meet, meaning like constantly, hey, how's your day? Before you've even gone on a date yet.
Well, ask Brooke this because we never texted, so I have no idea. I think all this texting is a waste of time. He should, if he likes you and you've texted a little bit, just pick up the phone and ask you out. So,
let's say he called you 10 times a day before you even went on the date.
I think it's a bit much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I just went through this with a girlfriend of mine who had like a serial texter reach out, and he was nice and a doctor, but he would reach out just 24/7.
Right.
I think it's a red flag.
Yeah. Okay, good.
I think so too. Okay, last one. If he likes 10 of your photos on Instagram at once, including photos from like 2 years ago.
I don't know what he's
Well, especially
doing.
Brooke, I feel like you have 600,000 plus followers. Like that probably happens a lot where people are like liking old photos of yours. Like I feel like I only have like 10 photos. Like what's really that old? You know what I mean? But
I feel like have the presence of mind though, not to go back past like the 1 year mark, because it's teetering on the brink of creepy. So
Yeah.
everyone does it. I'm not saying that like I myself wouldn't do it. I'm just saying don't actively sit and like. To actively like is like, it's a bit cringy.
yeah, I agree. Brooke, thank you so much. This was so fun chatting with you.
You're terrific.
So
And keep
fun.
it up. Now I'm going to follow you.
Oh my
She
gosh.
doesn't have
I'm
Instagram,
honored.
but excuse my grandma will follow you. Can you tell our listeners how they can find you?
Sure. Yeah. So my Instagram is my first, middle, and last name. So Brooke, Carrie, like Carrie Bradshaw, Hill with 1 L.
Hope you guys enjoyed the interview with Brooke. Such a sweet, positive person.
And really quite magnificent looking. So it really was nice.
I know. In the middle of the interview, we were just like, you're really pretty. But she's also a lawyer. Like she's beautiful and smart, which is sick.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Which is great.
So 50s movie of the week.
What do you think, Kim, this week?
I think we have to do something that had beautiful clothes in it.
I was thinking maybe American in Paris, because I remember the clothes were so beautiful. What do you think of that?
Yeah, An American in Paris, 1951, musical romance. Gene Kelly, my favorite.
And it's also set against Paris scenes, which are beautiful. So it's a delightful watch, and I hope everybody enjoys it.
Another great episode of Excuse My Grandma. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Excuse My Grandma. Please give us 5 stars wherever you're listening. We want to get to the top charts, you guys. We want you all to come with us.
Okay.
So we will see you next week.
Bye.